House Speaker Nancy Pelosi is expected to visit Taiwan as part of her tour of Asia this week. This, as China continues its repeated threats. Pelosi and a congressional delegation arrived in Malaysia overnight. Her upcoming stop in Taiwan would be the first for a House Speaker in 25 years.
If the Speaker does decide to visit and China tries to create some kind of crisis or otherwise escalate tensions, that would be entirely on Beijing.
Will Ripley joining us now live from Taiwan's capital city, Taipei. So what more do we know about this visit between the Speaker and the Taiwan government?
Hi, Erica. Well, she's in Malaysia, and we were told that the flight would be from Malaysia here to Taipei. We don't know the exact time frame, but we're all planning for some sort of later in the evening arrival, which would essentially mean Pelosi's plane lands, she goes to the hotel, she gets some rest, and then has meetings in the morning. And presumably, of course, she's going to meet with Taiwan's President Tsai Ing-wen. Likely, we're expecting to see her meet with some members of parliament as well. It's unclear how long she'll be on the ground here before she moves on with the rest of her Asia trip. This is obviously kind of an unofficially scheduled stop, although this is the stop that most people have been talking about since even before Pelosi left the States. And then, will she take time to learn more about Taiwan's history? Will she visit any landmarks? Or will it be one of those quick, let's have some face-to-face meetings, let's get back on the plane, let's go, like other U.S. lawmakers have done, where they've just been on the ground here for a matter of hours, in an attempt, in some cases, to try to, prevent China from taking any sort of provocative action. We have seen, obviously, propaganda videos released by China. We've seen, there have been, concerns that there might be some sort of a military buildup or some sort of show of military force. But I'll say that the rhetoric that we've been hearing, President Xi Jinping telling President Biden, play with fire, you're going to get burned, that is the kind of language that we've heard from China before. We're not seeing any sort of large-scale military buildup. So it seems as if, at least at this stage, it will be a rhetorical escalation. China will do something or say something so that they can appear strong and not lose face. But they're not going to try, a lot of analysts believe, to try to push things over the edge into some sort of a conflict. Of course, the United States has also made pretty clear they want to avoid a conflict as well. They just want Speaker Pelosi to safely arrive here, have the meetings, do what she needs to do, and then safely move on.
We will be watching for all of that. And, Will, I know you'll keep us updated as this develops. Thank you. Also with us this morning, CNN political analyst and Washington Post columnist Josh Rogin. Josh, good to have you here this morning. Picking up where Will left off, this sort of saber rattling, as it's been referred to, the rhetoric, which, as Will pointed out, isn't new. These threats from China, what do you actually see that manifesting as? In what way could there be some sort of reaction?
Right. Good morning, Erica. I think there'll be two different phases of Chinese government retaliation to Nancy Pelosi's visit to Taiwan today. One will be while she's on the ground. That will likely include, according to my sources, some military flights that may come near the island, crossing over the median line. It could be some artillery or missile fire from the Chinese side, and other shows of force by the Chinese military. Then she'll leave, and there'll be another phase, and that will be the Chinese government's retaliation against Taiwan. We're seeing some of that now. Last night, the Chinese government had announced the ban on imports of over 100 different Taiwanese manufactured materials and agricultural products. So we're going to see a long-term punishment of Taiwan that could take a number of forms in the military, economic, diplomatic, and cyber spheres. So there'll be some reaction while Pelosi is there and a lot more reaction after she leaves.
So in terms of that lingering reaction, that had to be part of the calculus for Taiwan as well to agree to this. What was that calculus? What are those conversations that you're learning about?
Right. From what I understand, the Taiwanese government is caught between a rock and a hard place. And, they welcome the Pelosi visit and they welcome the diplomatic show of support from the United States. At the same time, they are the ones that are going to have to deal with the consequences for weeks, months, or maybe even years. And there'll be a new situation on the ground after the delegation leaves that they're largely going to have to deal with on their own. So they're conflicted about it. Mm-hmm. And it depends on which Taiwanese official you talk to. Some think it's a good idea, and some wish actually that she would just stay away.
In terms of that, based on the fact that this is going to be, from your reporting from your sources, a long-term impact for Taiwan, that they may have to go it alone. I mean, how do you anticipate the U.S. reacting both publicly and behind the scenes to that?
Right. Well, we see it now because, of course, the Biden administration didn't want Pelosi to go to Taiwan, and now they have to just accept it and they have to deal with the new reality. And that'll be a new normal in the U.S. China relationship as well. And, the administration had been trying to prove to China that we could put guardrails on the relationship by respecting each other's boundaries. And now, at least from the Chinese point of view, that plan is over. So we're entering a new period of increased U.S. China tensions that's likely to never go back. And I think the Biden administration officials realize that, and it's not what they wanted, but it's what they got. So we're looking at a period of managing those rising tensions rather than avoiding rising tensions. And I think everybody who works on China inside the Biden administration is coming around to that realization, like it or not. And on the Chinese side, they have some decisions to make. Do they want this new normal to be a military tension or an economic tension or a diplomatic tension or all of the above? And I just don't think we know the answer to that yet. But whatever will happen in the wake of the Pelosi visit to Taiwan, that will be a different diplomatic situation in Asia than we had as of yesterday.
Josh Rogin, always great to have you with us. Thank you.